What's going on, everybody? This is Jules at GravelKidz.com. Again, that's KIDZ, and this is for our YouTube channel. We often get asked what bikes we ride, and there's a few bikes that we do ride that haven't really been reviewed. So we're taking this time to review those bikes that we researched and found there wasn't really many reviews on, but crew members own. And this one is for one of our smaller crew members. This is size 49 Trek Domane AL2 disc, which has been converted to a gravel bike. Right now, as many of you probably know, it's hard to get bikes, but one of the bikes that we found locally that we can get quite easily is the Trek Domane AL, or the Trek Domanes period, the more expensive carbon fiber models and the aluminum models. It seems like Trek has been shipping them out, and if you're familiar with Trek and the Domane, you'll realize that the Trek Domane is kind of like their endurance road bike, which means you sit up and move like a straight upright position, similar to a gravel bike. And if you look at the dimensions and specifications and geometry of this bike, you'll find that the Domane actually fits really close between the Specialized Diverge and the Trek Point. So basically, this bike is essentially a gravel bike in street bike clothes. The geometry in this bike is much closer to that, and like I said, it fits in between two well-known gravel bikes, the Trek Point and the Specialized Diverge, the 2021 models. And this bike actually has the same tire clearance as the Trek Checkpoint. The lower end Trek Checkpoints, even the 2021s, have 38 millimeters of tire clearance. What Trek says, even though if you're familiar with Trek, you can typically squeeze in a little bit bigger, so you can probably squeeze in the 40 millimeter tire if you choose correctly and still have clearance to remove mud. But this particular bike is on 35-inch Gravel King SK limited edition in the purple with the gum sidewall. So these are purple tires. Your eyes aren't deceiving you, so hopefully it comes through in the video. But this bike is fantastic. This rider's favorite color is purple. As you can tell from the pedals and the frame and the tires, everything is purple. So if you're in the mood or market for a gravel bike and you can't find one, see if you can find a Trek Domane. The 2021 is the one you want because it has the higher tire clearance of 38 millimeters. And like I said, if you're really witty and you do your research, you can probably fit a 40 millimeter in here and still have some clearance to remove some mud. If you do ride in environments where you will encounter mud, if you know you're riding someplace dry, you can probably get a 40 millimeter tire in this bike pretty easy, though Trek recommends a 38. Again, I guess we'll start with the wheel. The wheel are the Bontrager's. This is a Trek brand, just like the Specialized Diverge we reviewed. The Axe Elite were Specialized brand house wheels. These are Bontrager, which are going to be the Trek house brand wheels. These are tubeless ready. Of course, you'll have to remove the rim strip and do the tubeless conversion on your own. They don't come tubeless. Again, the valves that are on this bike, we sell similar ones on our website, which is GravelKidz or the Z.com, and we'll leave that in the description of this video. The method that we did was the same as the Specialized because it works so well with the Specialized. Well, we removed the factory tires, which I guess I need a hint on this right quick. The factory tire on this bike, size 49, for whatever reason, is a road specific tire. It has really no tread to it whatsoever. It's pretty much a slick tire. But any size other than the 49 comes with a tire that's really similar to the Road Sport tire. It's Pathfinder Pro-like or Road Sport-like, where it has a center strip that's slick, has a little small, really small diamond file pattern on the outside that will provide some grip if the going gets a little rough. But the size 49 does not. It comes with slick, so that was promptly removed and replaced with something a little bit bigger. Anyway, the conversion process, same as the Specialized. Remove the rim strip, wipe the rim down. We use Gorilla Tape, 1 1/4 inches, I believe is what it was. Wrapped it with some tension, made sure it was kind of tight, smoothed with our thumb. Poked the hole, popped the valve stem through, hand tighten the valve, put the Gravel King tires on, inserted sealant through the valve core. We also have that tool available as well. To reduce the chance of a mess, use a compressor, popped it right on, put the cap on, increased the pressure to about 45 psi or so, shook the tires, made sure everything's sealed, rode about 2 miles, and that's all she wrote. We haven't had any problems with any kind of deflation or anything like that after converting to tubeless. and it rides significantly smoother versus the factory setup, and obviously grip a whole lot better than the factory wheels. The factory tires. The factory tires on this bike are going to be 32 millimeter tires from the factory, and again, if you get the 49 size, they're going to be slicks. So if you're a size 49 rider, just expect to have tires or get tires as soon as you purchase the bike, because it's probably not something you're going to want to ride in gravel at all. The brakes, this being an AL2 disc, that makes a difference. There is an AL2 that's significantly cheaper than this bike, about $200 cheaper, and it comes with the rim brakes, and it reduces the tire clearance. This is the disc version, which comes with the Treco mechanical disc, and it has increased tire clearance. I'm pretty sure it has increased tire clearance, and we're running 35s in an hour with no problems. Like I said, we wanted 38s. The 38 special editions were sold out, so we have 35 millimeter, but this bike will accept up to 38 per trek, and I believe it'll accept a little bit more from research and people I've talked to at a few bike shops. So that's, again, you can go a little big if you want to. The front fork is, again, like the Trek Checkpoint and the Specialized Diverge, it's carbon fiber. So you have a carbon fiber fork. Again, it's kind of the trend now, carbon fiber fork. It does reduce a little bit of vibration, in my opinion. And it makes the front end of the bike a little bit lighter, a little bit more nimble. So you have the carbon fiber fork. You do again have the fender mount, so you can run a fender or a front rack if you want to on this bike. Further taking it away from the pure road bike. That's not something you typically find on a road bike, so kudos to Trek for having it on the Domane. I know I'm kind of skipping everywhere. Let me touch back on the brakes right quick, because I did mention them. The Treco brakes are not the best brakes. It is hard to modulate. It does take some time to learn to modulate them without locking up rear tires, especially if you stand up and you don't have your weight over the rear. It is easy to lock up the tire. It does have a learning curve. If you can get hydraulics, that's probably something I would recommend. You can probably change the brake pads, I've read, and get a little bit better stopping power. I mean, these will work. I mean, we've ridden this bike again, and we ride as a group. The 56 miles trip, this bike did go along with us for that ride with these tires, and it handled it, perfectly. It actually gripped in certain sections better than the SS due to the knobby tread, and the brakes worked. I mean, we came home, even just into the same levies and everything else I did on the hydraulic brakes, so they do work. Just know that it's going to take a little more hand grip power and a little more skill to modulate them. That's something that can be easily upgraded in the future, but just keep that in mind if you do get this bike. The brakes, if I had to choose any point that was a weak point, other than the 49 size coming with the road tire, would be the brakes. But again, they do work. Don't let anybody tell you they don't work, because they absolutely do. But they do need to be bedded in. If you get this bike and you try to, haul down the street, hit the brakes all of a sudden, you're not going to stop. You need to, embed the brakes. But that's typical of any new brakes. Any new bike, anytime you change brakes and rotors, there is a process that needs to happen. As far as the handlebars go, these have a very slight flare to them. Not that much at all. Again, this bike was originally more road oriented. It was more endurance oriented. So the geometry kind of sets you a little bit more upright. The grip, the bar tape on this one, the grip is pretty fantastic. It's almost sticky, but not like a nasty sticky where you're gonna have residue in your hand. It's just the texture and the grip from the bar tape. And it is kind of a foam or a foam rubber similar to the aftermarket bar tape I've done on the Specialized. And it does offer a much more reduced vibration in the handlebars compared to the Specialized OEM tape. I will say the OEM tape, which again I believe is Bontrager, it's a better bar tape than a Specialized provides from the Diverge, which is more of a, I guess a cork, I would say, bar tape. This is in my opinion, a much nicer bar tape that comes factory on the Domane. The frame is aluminum, similar to the Specialized that we reviewed earlier, and you are getting an aluminum frame with a carbon fiber fork. I guess another point I do need to mention is typically road bikes don't have an excessive amount of like bottle bosses and mount locations for bags, because they're typically on the road. It's not something you typically take on long distance rides. So there isn't on the fork, the Trek checkpoint, and the Diverge, and even our state bike does have mounts on the front fork, where this one doesn't. Again, we do offer handlebar bags on our website, so that's another option that we can put on this bike because it's smaller. So we can run a handlebar bag and a top tube bag. You got to be careful on a size 49. It does make it for a tight fit to try to fit a frame bag on a bike frame that's this small. If you run a bigger Domane frame, the frame bag is not a problem. But mentioning the bottle bosses, the reason I did that is because this bike does have quite a few, more than you find on a regular road bike for sure. Just maybe like missing two compared to a specific gravel bike. It has one on the top tube, it has two in the center triangle to carry more water bottle, and it has a fourth one under the bottom behind the crankset, similar to the Trek checkpoint and the Diverge. So if you want to carry extra water bottles, if you want to carry your tools down in the water bottle tube case, that is an option on this bike to keep the weight further down and keep your tools in check. The crankset on this one is also Shimano. This is the Claris setup. And if you have a specialized, look at specialized Diverges, the E5, the base model, which is a specific gravel bike, this is the exact same crankset and drivetrain that you would get on that bike. So with that being said, this is very much a gravel proven group set that they have on this one. Again, this is the Shimano Claris. So you get the Claris brakes and shifters, and you get the group set, and you have the Shimano Claris derailleur. The derailleur does not come with a clutch. The GRX setup does. I am not sure if they sell the Domane even the higher end with the GRX setup. I think they get more for the road specific like Ultegra group sets with the Domane, but you can of course put GRX on if you choose. But like I say, we've taken this bike on the same route we've taken the Diverge on, and there really is no limitation to this bike. There's nothing that really says this bike makes this bike any better or worse than the Diverge. The geometry, I said, is different. It's in between the Trek checkpoint and the Diverge. The Diverge lays a little more heavy towards the mountain bike side of gravel bikes. It has a longer reach, and it's a little bit slacker. The Trek checkpoint is a little steeper, and this bike actually fits in the kind of like in the middle of those two bikes. So it's not it's definitely within the realm of gravel geometry for sure. So again, if you can find a specific gravel bike, and I have no idea why Trek did this and made this bike capable of being what it is, because this bike is cheaper than the Trek checkpoint, and there's not much different as far as the geometry and stuff goes, and the build quality. The Trek checkpoint, aluminum, same aluminum style frame, same style carbon fiber fork, basic same handlebars. Like there's so much of this is the same. The major difference is the geometry is very, very slightly different, but the group set is what sets the Trek checkpoint off compared to this one. You get like a few extra bottle bosses and stuff on the front fork that you don't get on this one. And then you get the option to get the GRX drivetrain, even though the base model Trek checkpoint as well as the Diverge has the same group set, and this bike is cheaper. So I'm assuming the price bump for the Trek checkpoint, other than being a gravel bike and being trendy and increasing the price, you probably pay a little more to get the GRX on the GRX setup. But I'm not sure if I was in the base model Trek checkpoint and the Domane, it's really a toss-up. This is cheaper, and you're not really losing much at all versus the base model Trek checkpoint. And if you're in the market right now, you know it's pretty hard to find any kind of gravel bike, and this is definitely a capable gravel bike, even though it's technically marketed as a road endurance bike. At the back, you have the same thing. You have the exterior fender mounts or package mounts. Again, not something you typically see on a road bike. They do have bosses and everything for that built in. Again, it leans more towards gravel, in my opinion, than towards road. It also, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a duo trap bond trigger setup where you can actually insert the sensor for cadence and power and speed depending on what computer you use and what you're looking for. But they do have it built into the frame from the factory. there is a little black plastic piece with the dual trap logo and Bluetooth specific logo on it. It's just a blank that holds the place. So if you do want to add a computer to this bike and you want to go with the Bontrager setup or something like that, they use the dual trap. It's already built into the frame, which I think is pretty neat. It's a really clean way of doing it, and it's also a way Trek tries to keep you in their ecosystem. We are running the computer on this bike. It's a really simple setup. All he really wanted to know about was his speed and the time and the total mileage, and it reads off the little magnetic sensor on the wheel to the little computer screen at the top. So nothing fancy, no navigation or anything like that, but it does what he needs it to do. The bottles cages are going to be the Bontrager brand. They came when we got the bike. Honestly, I think I really converted to the nylon cage that we carry on our website. These do bend over time. They all bend over time. I don't know why, if they're just wiggling out bottles or whatever. They tend to get loose and bottles pop out on the trail. And I think the ones that we carry, the nylon bottle cages, are just better than these, hands down. Also has a light on the rear, safety first. You'll realize all the bikes that we ride, that we typically review on our website and our YouTube channel, are going to be bikes that some crew member has, and you'll almost always see a light because we, like I said, again, safety first. This does come with a VersaComp saddle, which is a Bontrager saddle, FSA headset. Overall, this is a fantastic bike. So if you're in the market for a gravel bike or a road bike or something that's in between, you can go either way with. I would definitely recommend Trek Checkpoint, especially for the fact that Trek is actually shipping these bikes out, and you can get them. And again, this is a 2021, and it's definitely more gravel than road. So if you have any questions specifically about this bike in particular, leave them in the comment section below. We'll try to answer any kind of questions that you have. Like I said, it goes everywhere the Diverge goes. No issues. Never had a chain pop off. Same gnarly descents. Same weather. Same mud, water, whatever. Only difference being the tires on this bike, like when the going gets a little slicker or a little muddier, the knobbies do tend to bite a little more. I guess something worth saying is that some people say that the SK tires throw rocks. If they throw rocks, it's going to be very tiny pebbles. There's not enough tread, gap in the tread to pick up big rocks. I've only seen this bike riding with this person in particular ever throw like one pebble, and it was a really tiny pebble. And we've ridden on like really hard pack with pebbles across the top, where if it was going to fling rocks, that would have been the place it was going to do it. I mean, if you were like pumping hard and throwing rooster tails or whatever, then maybe that's different. But overall, we like the tires, we like the setup, we like the color, and this has been a look or review of the Trek Checkpoint 2021 model. I'll try to add some clips somewhere in here of it on the trail or the riding the levees, just so you can kind of see it rolling. Until next time, we appreciate it. Check out our website, which is Kidz with a Z, KIDZ.com, to check some of the cool products that we sell and help support our website, and so we can continue to bring cool content like this. And we appreciate it. Until next time, thanks.